Hello everyone, welcome back to the Age of Empires 4 commentary, and today we have a 2v2 gameplay for you. We have Jigglypuff playing with Baltoon in the bottom side of the map as Malians and Jeanne d'Arc, and across the way we have Aegis and Bread, aka State. These are two StarCraft 2 pros coming over to the Age of Empires 4 scene, so it should be a good matchup today, and now they will be the English and the Ottomans. Today we also have a special co-caster, TenFourTim.
Hi, everybody. Beyond has summoned me from the depths of his basement yet again to bring you another cast now. All four of these players, I remember State, obviously. State played a lot more AoE 4 back in the day. I remember Aegis a lot. And I don't know if you remember this, Beyond, from in AoE 4's infancy. Aegis was one of the first ones to do survival techniques as English and getting boar. This was a very popular build in Altai to get a super fast feudal time. Doesn't look like he's doing that now, however, just adding some farms and doing all that kind of stuff. But all four of these players are amazing. This is going to be a hell of a game.
Yeah, absolutely. Also you can definitely see that. This isn't the, I think it was Beastie, or there's someone who kind of patented this 2 farm strategy, because you have that extra wood as the English in the beginning. The early survival techniques can get you, honestly, on these kind of maps with this many deer packs. If you're not Roos, you might as well just get out there and start collecting as many as you can. But look at all the sheep too. There's just so much food on this map, so much gold. So this should be a good one. I'm expecting to see a lot of feudal age aggression. Pretty much everyone besides the English probably wants to fight of some capacity in the feudal age. So this should be a lot of action really quickly.
And as the English player, I think we've watched a lot of English where, a little bit of long distance mining. It's all right, get your steps in, it's fine. With the English, they can kind of do a little bit of everything, and especially in a team game setting. When you're playing a 2v2 situation, you can make a lot of longbows. They are the best archers out there, and I'm forgetting that Zugnu exists purposefully. The longbowmen are going to give you an opportunity just to give you that backline that you need. So even if, if his teammate wants to go aggressive, be like, hey, can you support me with some longbowmen? They're going to have the ability to do that. But on the opposite end, we have the one, the only Jeanne d'Arc building that school of cavalry. This is Jigglypuff's favorite civ. He loves knights. He basically drags his face across the keyboard and makes a bunch of knights and hurls them at the enemy. And I'll tell you what, Beyond, he's damn good at it.
He is very, very good at it. So I will not show any shade, as I am currently sitting in platinum. So I'm not gonna sit here and make too much fun of it. But I will say he does love a knight or two in his time, and if you get him on a knight civ, he's gonna be very, very impactful. We can see also collecting a ton of sheep, which is incredibly beneficial for all the French and French variants, such as Jeanne d'Arc. How have you been feeling on this season, Tim? I know you've been streaming a ton, so if you guys haven't already, go check out Tim, his stream. I think he streams pretty much every day. We'll leave his link in the description below. How are you feeling this season in terms of the variant civs versus the normal ones? What's your go-to civ right now? Do you like playing Jeanne d'Arc?
I love playing Jeanne d'Arc, actually. I think I looked at my AoE 4 world stats this morning, and the top civ that I have been playing is Jeanne d'Arc. I've been playing a decent amount of Byzantines, decent amount of Rus, decent amount of Ottomans as well. But Jeanne d'Arc is so good. If you can get feudal aggression, you can get some knights out there. It's really great the way that Jeanne d'Arc, when you go for the champion derivative in feudal age, having that ability to counter spearmen just makes your ability to make knights that much better. And actually, when I do play Jeanne d'Arc, I use the build order that Jiggly does. So watching his build order is something that I would highly recommend all Jeanne d'Arc players to do now. I do see with the Ottomans, however, taking it to the Malians in the Dark Age, and that's something that you really want to do against the Malians, because they want to get their pit mines, they want to put some houses around it, they want to cow boom. If you're able to kind of derail them just a little bit for the first couple minutes in the game, it could buy you enough time to steamroll them, and I think State's doing a good job of that, trying to burn down this pit mine.
Yeah, he's doing his absolute best. I will say, though, that one archer's going to thwart this entire cohort over here. Going to have to quickly move out, and that pit mine is going to be safe and sound, not a problem at all. It's one of the things that, yes, the early Ottoman pressure can do a lot of impact, but it's not a huge investment, but it is enough of an investment to go for that early military school. So the fact that the Malians can so easily kind of fend them off. And here we have the first night raid getting a nice charge on the broadside of that gold, but some nice movement there. From the English player to make sure he saves that villager. Something small thing you can always do is bring back the injured ones, and there we go, a nice little trade going on, and bring them back to a little bit safer and sound situation. The nice movement back and forth, the dance moves are impeccable from Jigglypuff in this night movement. Just trying to delay that age up and also all those upgrades that English like to get. We can see, though, that the English players also had a nice little wall off going on over here, making sure he is safe and sound for these night raids, but unfortunately for him, has not kind of dealt with this over here. We'll start to get some longbowmen, but Jiggly's going to keep finding this, and now we have the second night over here, so it will cause some issues if we don't see a barracks anytime soon.
Yeah, Igus is doing a great job. Dodge, duck, dip, diving, and dodging away from those villagers. And I like how he used the micro views of some of the villagers just to make sure you didn't get that 2-tap from the French Knight. So we're seeing a lot of dancing on the other side. State, he's trying to take it to Jeanne d'Arc's home base, and this is something that's really good if you want to try to defeat Jeanne d'Arc, even in a 1v1 situation. Go attack her villagers, because they're assuming that the aggression's always going to be on your opposite side. If you could sneak off a couple of them, just like State is doing right here, this stops Jigglypuff's knight production, right? If you're not able to get those villagers gathering gold the way they could, and it means you can't get things like wheelbarrow, you can't get things like iron undermesh, you don't get things like iron undermesh, it means Jeanne d'Arc gets sniped easier.
No, absolutely. And on top of that, it means that Jeanne d'Arc is going to be dealing with these guys over here instead of just going out killing some boar, getting that quick XP up as quickly as possible. So if she's chasing these guys around, it's better for you in the long run. But I will say, Jiggly is finding pay dirt in the Ottoman base, getting a lot of damage done on those villagers. I will say, unfortunately for our Ottoman player, State, that gold is so far away. That is ages away from his base, which is unfortunate for him. The Malian player sends over a little bit of help. Baltoon's got Jigglypuff. I got you, don't you worry. Sending over some archers over there. And now we just have Jeanne d'Arc just kind of running around with her head cut off, just trying to get these guys down. It looks like they are going to survive, so a nice pick off there. A nice job there from State to make sure that those are saved. And honestly, every little thing counts, because 3 of these guys can do some damage to a knight, so Jiggly wants to be careful on that front. Does quickly save it from there.
Yeah, Jeanne d'Arc plays similarly to French in that aspect, where the first couple knights that you have are so crucial, not only to create the snowball effect of getting a villager lead, taking down some villagers, but also for how expensive they are. Losing one is so critical. And this is something that Jigglypuff does such a good job of. Just making sure that all of his knights stay alive, so when there actually is some big battle that's brewing, he has all of the knights available. Meanwhile, teammate Baltoon getting his cow boom on. State, with those Ottoman troops, has a meadow in the back with the sound of music, wants to really take it to the Malians. And on a map like Golden Pit, where you only get 2 home golds, and they're usually pretty far away, tough for the Malians to control both of those golds, and to make sure he has enough units for everything. He's going to see some houses going down. Jigglypuff is going to lose a knight as well. Igus does have a good feudal force. He has some longbowmen, he has some spearmen, which is really important as the English. Those longbowmen, if you get enough mass of them, it can snipe Jeanne out of any battle.
Yeah, Igus and State are really taking it to them in this feudal age. As we kind of mentioned at the beginning, the Ottomans are so good into these kind of knight civs because of how many free spearmen they kind of get, and you can start to produce a lot of archers on the backhand side. So you produce kind of the same kind of infantry as the classic English build, which is the spearman, longbowman going on. That being said, Jiggly's trying to find some harassment on the other side, but that's an entire pit mine setup going down, which is a pretty heavy investment for the Malian player. Baltoon is definitely going to be struggling on that front, but does have a pretty large gold vein over here and might be able to get the full cow boom setup before he runs out of gold, which will be incredibly important for him, and can start to spin out into the middle of the map. But this is a nice pickup here for State and the Ottoman player to really dismantle this kind of typical cow boom that you get set up in about 12 minutes. So any delay is a good delay, and hopefully Jigglypuff can use his knights to kind of counter raid over here, which he's doing a good job of, and trying to find a lot of these villagers over here that are very susceptible to getting raided.
Yeah, the Ottomans do have some susceptibility to raiding, especially because, I mean, we talked about that gold mine. It is in the back of his base, but the town center isn't going to necessarily help it. But Ottomans, as far as this part of the game, they do have the twin minaret that's going to help you out. But they got to go out to some outside food resources if they want to sustain production of things like Sapahi that cost so much food. Right? Jiggly should be aware that because his Malian teammate is getting dived on with all this Sapahi, exactly what Jigglypuff is doing, that means we know where State's army is, and we know it's not at his base. So while he's trying to do something to the Malian Empire, he's taking out a couple villagers, and these are huge. These are just 2 or 3, but stalling out any of that production, not from the military school, is really helpful. I guess teammate of State going to be coming in here trying to help out. It looks like Baltoon just has some javelin throwers. He does not have the military to deal with both of these. I'm curious to see how he actually handles this because his villagers are running for their lives. The only thing he really has is this passive income, but his whole economy is at a standstill beyond.
Yeah, though I will say, as you mentioned, the passive income, if you are going to kill off one player, oh my god, these villagers are now the front line, which is never what you want to be seeing over here. Jeanne d'Arc is coming in trying to take down these spears as quickly as possible because then the French Knights will be able to clean up this entire army. And there is the heal and AoE all at once. The villagers are providing a nice front, like an offensive line in the NFL. They stand strong and get the W. I was going to say the only issue with diving the Malians like that is that they have all that passive income. So even though you did put them behind, it's not as behind as as another civilization would normally be after an attack like that.
Yeah, that is true because it's not necessarily about killing villagers, it's about burning down their buildings, right? And I really like that analogy of the villagers being an offensive line. I think I saw a couple of them in 3-point stance actually trying to take the brunt of some of those, but I don't think Baltoon lost a lot, and this is something that Jeanne d'Arc is so good with in a team game situation because when you pop that heal, works on your teammates too. The villagers got healed. They're able to take a couple extra hits. It means a couple of villagers were able to be saved. You can take a look at the right side part of your screen. Beyond the scores of all of these players are somewhat similar. I know we don't really talk about score being the end-all be-all of AoE4 games just because it can be a little jank sometimes, but it's a nice indicator when you have some of them. Now, Igus is the first one going to Castle Age, and he has a decent amount of spearmen. He's going to be able to get that longbowman upgrade, which means Jeanne d'Arc could be sniped very easily. However, that window to snipe her is starting to run low. I saw you highlight just a little bit on the fact that she's level 2. Looking at that bar, she probably only has about 50 to 60 XP left before she hits that very pivotal level 3. And if you can keep your opponents, or at least State in this perspective, in age 2 while you have a Jeanne age 3, it's so difficult for them to deal with.
Absolutely. Now we also see a bunch of javelin throwers coming on the field, which means this Ottoman army is going to be quickly forward. They're going to have to fall back all the way because if that Ottoman army pushed out and kind of started to dive, there's not many Sapahi in here, which means they wouldn't be able to last very long, and Jiggly could come in from the side with all of these knights, and that's the power of Jeanne d'Arc and any knight civ in team games. They're so mobile. If you don't have any mobile forces, which is one of the biggest complaints I have with the English, which is also why I switched to the French this season, I was so sick of getting caught out of position because of how slow this mass actually is. Yes, it's incredibly powerful when it is in position, but that is the key word when it's in position. If it's not, you're very, very susceptible to lots of raids, and on top of that, your other teammates are susceptible to getting caught out. And this army, yes, while strong, into knights would get absolutely obliterated.
Yeah, I think it absolutely would. I think Jiggly does the good call of going up into age 3, and if I did see the icon correctly, he did go up with Royal Institute, something I absolutely love. If you have that many knights on the battlefield, you might as well make them pseudo-imperial. Gets Royal Bloodlines, because that'll really help you out. He's going to wait, take some of that battle. Looks like Malian player Baltoon, he has a decent amount of jab throwers, which is going to help him out against archers. They have a decent amount of base strength, so that means they might be able to take down some spearmen as well. But essentially, as long as he gets that veteran Royal Knight upgrade, and he does, he's willing to take a fight, even against both of them. You're seeing plus 16s head out for Jeanne d'Arc. She's ever so closer. She needs those Jeanne's champions, because look at how many spearmen are out here. You need something to be a front line to deal with that, at least take the pressure off some of those knights, you know?
Yeah, I saw him just starting to dive back a little bit because I think he's just desperate to get that level 3. If he can get it, this will definitely impact it. And actually, I love this play here. Just stick all the knights in that TC. It's all good. I will say you want to run these guys away. There's no doubt about that. But now the Ottoman army and the Sipahi have taken out, and there they go. They pop right out, and they can deal a lot of damage to this. They didn't actually get their brace in time, so that's a very easy cleanup. Knights into spears are brutal, but that being said, oh no, the English, they're just running everywhere else. But knights into those spear when they're not braced is still an easy cleanup for these pseudo-imperial knights. So a nice play there from Jiggly is going to be moving out and cleaning up the rest. This Ottoman army, though, is diving and getting a lot of villager kills, but now they will be meeting these knights in full tow. A nice surround over here, and here comes the Malian army to help with the cleanup. Jeanne d'Arc has popped level 3. There's that AoE, and this entire thing is being cleaned up. You can see she's just mopping up experience right now. Baltoon is now also castellated, which means the cow boom is in full effect.
And that's such an important thing for Baltoon, hitting Castle Age. Getting that cow boom, it means that this is kind of a point of no return when you're up against the Malians, because they have everything up in full swing. You're going to see a boatload of military units. Baltoon might be even getting as high as 100, getting up in the military count, and a lot of those being javelin throwers, which is really going to help them out. John being level 3 as well. This is kind of a power spike area for the Malians and Jeanne d'Arc. So you have the Royal Bloodlines, veteran Royal Knights. You have that cow boom up in full swing. State just hits Castle Age. This might be time for them to strike.
Yeah, I mean, I will say of all the civs right now, the Ottomans do well into Castle Age, but they're probably stronger in that Imperial and Feudal. So this is the sweet spot for the Malian and the Jeanne d'Arc to actually push in right now. And that's exactly what they're doing. This Malian force, while pretty cheap to kind of reproduce, is kind of taking the brunt of this front line. And then Jiggly is just waiting patiently for these spears to be eliminated. And then he will begin moving in and just dealing with all these crossbowmen. These javelin throwers, though, are doing a great job of just picking off all these kind of knight bracing units. And on the back end side, Jiggly's cleaning up all these stragglers. And now crossbowmen do a lot of damage into these knights, but they don't do so great when they have no front line. Joan of Arc is doing that AoE. You can see those plus 12s popping up every which way. And this is doing a lot of damage to the English player. And with these pseudo-imperial knights running around, they can tank this English TC for days, and this is going to cause a lot of issues for the English player. And here comes, they're now going to move into the rest of the economy. Yes, that we do have a 2 TC for the English player, but at the same time, if these villagers are just kind of standing around, just getting mopped up, Joan of Arc is going to be hitting that age 4, that level 4 in no time, and now Jiggly is finding even more and more villagers to kind of take down.
Yeah, I really like Jiggly's choice in Castle Age, because he went for, when John hit level 3, didn't go for the champions, went for the riders. That's why you can see some of the horseman type units around where those knights are. They do extra damage to the crossbowmen, which is really going to help out and make sure John doesn't get sniped. And it keeps the mobility up of the force. You know, having those John champions, they only move at 1.12 tiles per second, so it slows down your army. Having those riders is something that I'm actually learning at this perspective. Maybe it'll help me be a better Jeanne d'Arc player, so I appreciate Jiggly for showing us this particular game. It looks like for State and Igas can't get the Malian troops, the Jeanne d'Arc troops, out of that starting town center for Igas. And it just seems like as long as they can continue to funnel units in this particular vicinity, Igas' economy, it's going to be halted.
Yeah, and I don't know, it may have been the case, but I know he's starting to produce a lot of Janissaries now, but I believe that he might have popped that, oh no, the Mangonel's getting picked off over here as well, so this is not good at all. I will say the Mangonel's not going to play a huge impact in this kind of situation because of all those knights, so if you leave it out even for a second, Jigglypuff is going to snipe it almost instantly. But I think he popped a few of those points, and then on top of that, all those Janissaries that popped out, I think 8 and 9 of them instantly were gone and evaporated by these javelin throwers. So a nice trade here for both armies, and Jiggly and Baltoon are sitting in a great situation. And the word I was looking for is visor point, and that was, I think, used and almost eradicated instantly. And honestly, now the Malian economy is really kicking in, and the English economy is on the downturn.
Yeah, that visor point that you actually used is that Janissary. That's kind of like the oh crap button. You know, you have a bunch of stuff in your base. You need some kind of unit as quickly as possible, so you just try to pull out on the Janissary. I like State's composition because he's going for mostly Janissaries. He's going for spears. This is really good against Jiggly's composition. Not sure how good it is against the Malians, however. As long as he has javelin throwers in the back, he will be able to take down a lot of those Janissaries, which are quite the expensive unit. Talked about, and we foreshadowed just a little bit about Ottomans going for those outside food resources. A lot of villagers are going to get caught out here beyond.
Yeah, it's almost like we've done this casting thing once or twice before, but it does seem to come into fruition that the knights find their target and have done so much damage. I wish that each of these knights had a kill count like Modern Warfare 2. We could see who is a superior. I will say Jean would be sitting it there at a very nice KDA, for to be 100% honest. She would be the ultimate victor, but it's just so much economic damage, and behind this, both players are just expanding. We see a TC being dropped as well for Jiggly. So Baltoon and Jiggly are sitting in such a comfortable spot, even moving out to a middle of the map pit mine. And the English and Ottoman player are trying to just honestly turtle and lick their wounds from the amount of rain that has gone down. And you can see Baltoon is really pulling out all the stops in terms of that score, which means he just has a ton of economy, which is not very surprising because look at all that gold he has sitting in, almost 1,000 per minute and almost 1,000 food per minute. And he got raided early on, remember?
Yeah, he was able to recover very, very well. And I think a lot of it obviously is just because of that passive economy now. Now we're at this point of the game, we're about 21 minutes into the game. The pit of Golden Pit becomes the most important thing because you're going to need gold at some point, especially the Malians and especially Jeanne d'Arc. You know, I mean, even though a lot of their buildings are consecrated, you're still going to need them. State, on the other hand, also needs gold. Janissaries are not cheap, so he's going to need to do that. Jigglypuff on the north side actually getting a good flank. There's only a couple Janissaries out here. A lot of them are spears. He's got some longbowmen as well. Crossbowmen seem to be null and void at this point just because of the riders. Maybe they're a little bit scared of Jean's riders more than anything else. But now that we have a good 2-on-2, this choreography from both of these players is fantastic. Jiggly with that mobility. He's the only one with mobility in this game. He's going to be able to come in, take down all of that longbowman mass. This is a cleanup for Baltoon and Jiggly.
Yeah, I was just going to say this could be GG, and there it is. I'm not sure if the switch to men-at-arms was the move. Spearmen are needed against knights, but it did not pan out at all. That raid in the middle of the game on the English just proved to be too much damage done. And GG's, Jigglypuff and Baltoon get the victory. Tim, thank you so much for joining. I really appreciate it. Guys, if you did enjoy, please do like and subscribe. And as I mentioned, go check out Tim's channel. He's been streaming all the time, and it's pretty top-tier content. What do you think, Tim?
I don't know about top tier, but I do know that I always appreciate you having me on. And maybe that means I'll get to eat today as I slumber back to the basement.
Absolutely. All right, guys, have a great night, and I'll see you guys next time.